New year, we jumped into resolutions. We might have already dropped those resolutions, but there's still things that we can fix, change, or improve. But today's guest says before we start to plan, it's important to pause and acknowledge what we have already lived through, reflecting on the calendar, our photos, and key areas of our lives, gaining clarity, confidence, and stronger ways to create a roadmap for a successful 2026. Snowden McFall, one of my friends, professional speaker and author, is with us to unpack our past for our best future. And I was just looking at some of the nuggets that you're going to share. People pay for this, so just be thankful.
Right, I am an executive coach, and this is what I do with my clients.
I know, but I just love it because it's funny. I've been thinking, and everyone's like, live in the present, don't look back. But this is a different advice.
It is. Well, Robert Fritz, who wrote the book, The Path of Least Resistance, and he used to teach students at Berklee College of Music how to write symphony in a few weeks as opposed to a few years. That's a big deal.
Yeah.
He talks about this. He talks about the circle of completion and how important it is to acknowledge and to complete, because that releases new germination energy for the new year.
Right.
So acknowledging and finding meaning in the past year before you move into this year is really important.
It's really important, yeah. Okay, so you recommend that we pull out our calendar from last year, so January 1st, and what should we be looking for as we kind of scroll month to month?
Any meaningful activities, major project completions, any big things. Like one of the things I did this recently with my husband, and he noticed that he fired a client. That was a big deal. That was a good thing for him to do. And just different things that you see as you go through, accomplishments that you've had, it really makes a difference. And you write those down. So you've got like, look at all, oh, I forgot I did that.
Right.
Oh, I forgot I did that. Yeah.
And also it also reminds you how busy you were.
Yes.
And then maybe even preparing for this year, there probably were points of the year that you were busier than others.
Yes.
And then maybe planning in some downtime for yourselves.
I'm always a believer in blocking out quiet time for yourself and vacation time as well.
Yeah. So when we why is this so hard for us to kind of look back? I mean, I think when I think about looking back, I'm like, there were some really great times, and I have a tendency to like forget the bad stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, that's a nice thing.
I think so, but then I don't want to make the same mistakes, right?
Right. Well, you look at the things where you can learn, and you give yourself a pat on the back for the things that were really hard that you got through successfully. That's important too.
Yeah, and looking at patterns, I think, those times when I felt happiest, most peaceful, and most connected, and kind of maybe duplicating some of those moments.
Yes, absolutely. And then you go on to your photo file. And then here, this is really cool. I heard this one from Mel Robbins. And what you do is you look back and you see maybe there's some people you want to reconnect with, some special moments and some times that you had in your life that were really meaningful, really touched your heart, that you want to recreate. And again, you make note of those things and milestones. You'll see, but I forgot how many different trips I made speaking. And so I was able to look back, oh, I was speaking in New York, and oh, I was speaking in Washington, and oh, I was speaking here and there. And you just, oh, I'd love to touch base with that person that I met there. It's a reminder.
Yeah.
So, and you give yourself credit again for what you've done.
I heard that with Mel Robbins. I was listening to that same one. When she talked about, really going through each month and finding the pictures, because they tell the story. And even if you're smiling, you may remember, like, I really wasn't happy then, or I actually did do some of the things that I thought I didn't do. And I'm like, oh, I actually did spend 50 days with the kids last year.
Yes.
And I didn't really realize it or give, like you said, yourself credit for that.
Exactly.
Yeah, you're a big one of also creating lists.
I am.
And like checking them off.
You bet. Daily success lists every day. At the end of every day, you write down 10 things you've achieved. Sometimes getting out of bed, right, is a big success for all of us. And then, but just give yourself credit. Every phone call you make, every meeting you go to, every research that you do, all those are successes.
Yeah, and this is a good one, folks, because I tend to think I'm a good accountability partner, but when I think about working out, and I'm like, I need help, I need someone. So checking in with someone that you trust, has your best interest in mind, and will really kind of, sometimes when you're not perfect, we'll say, hey, Mel, that you could have done that differently.
Right, an accountability partner, American Society of Talent Development did a study, and they found that if you have an accountability partner and you check up with them on your written goals once a week, your chance of achieving them is 95%.
Wow.
95%, folks, that's pretty good. That's almost 100%.
Yeah. So you're saying if I had, my goal for the week, and then I have and I say, hey, I did them?
Your goal for the year.
The goal for the year.
Your goal
Okay.
for the year,
Okay.
or maybe that month, and you check in each week. How you doing on that? How you doing? You know, like for me, one of the things I want to do is I want to work out more. So I've got a partner that I'm working out with, and so you check in with them weekly. How's that going? How's the diet? How's the sugar? For me, it's sugar. So cutting out sugar from my life. Those kinds of things. But having that goal each week, checking in, the accountability is what makes it work.
And giving yourself some grace. I mean, I think too, when we hold that partner, it's like, oh, I don't want to fail, but it's okay, right? I mean, and it's not even a failure. It's like, you know what? It's all good. Maybe you didn't work out this week, but what are you going to change next week to make sure
That's
it happens?
right. It's important not to beat up on ourselves, but to give ourselves credit for what we've accomplished.
Yeah. What else? This is good stuff.
Well, and I have a tip sheet for people too, so that if they want 20 tips to stay and get fired up, I've got that tip sheet, so they just email me at connect@firedupnow.com. That makes it easy, and then they can stay fired up. I mean, it's really important as you kick off the new year that you give yourself a break, you start fresh, you acknowledge what you accomplished, and then you go forward envisioning exactly what you want. I'm a big believer, you know, in dream collages, vision boards, so do one of those. If you can see it, you can achieve it.
Let's talk about that too, because I don't know if I ever told you this. So in 2020, on the center of my vision board, it said "Stay at home."
Oh, and
what
then
happened?
COVID.
And it was the pandemic.
Oh
I mean, it really, and
wow.
my stay at home was more because my kids were little and I felt like home was a bit chaotic and stressful. So like I was finding myself like, oh, I need to go here. I need to get out of the house. And so I wanted to find peace at home. And then the universe was like, all right,
You
that's
want to
what
stay
you
at
want.
home? I know.
Here you go.
Maybe try peace at home instead of stay at home.
I could change my wording, but like I think, you know, seeing those words, seeing those pictures, picturing yourself on a vacation.
Exactly.
What's the best way to kind of do that? Because now there's Canva, there's online, there's lots of ways.
There's tons of ways, and you know, you can pull all different images from whatever you want and print them out. Don't use them anyplace else because they're all trademarked and what have you, but just for yourself, you can create them. I have specific words that I want to create more of in my life. You know, you might want abundance, you might want peace, you were talking about, stronger friendships, whatever, and I print them out in color on a color printer, and then I cut those words out if I can't find them.
I'm so glad you said that, because I was like, who has magazines anymore? You know, we used to sit around and put magazines out and like cut from there. And I was
doing
like,
that
where
on
am I
Saturday at one of my girlfriend's houses. We've got a party where we're doing that. We still have magazines.
I know.
Magazines are great.
I know, a lot of
But you
people
can print
don't.
them out.
Yeah, I think
you can
that's
print
good,
out whatever words you want and print out the images that you want just for yourself, and then you look at it every day.
All right, so any final words for us as we enter into this year?
It is your year to create, and you can make it whatever you want it to be.
Amen, sister. All right, Snowden McFall, thank you for joining us today.
My pleasure.
Always love it. I hope you all got something from that. I know I did. All right, Snowden, so if I was to ask you if you could pick out a Jaguar print, do you think you could do it?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I
Okay.
think the solution is wear teal.
I think you're right. You don't have to mess with that. Okay, so they actually asked some of the Jaguar players to pick out the Jaguar print. So coming up after the break, we're going to show you how well they did. We're also going to talk about the head coach, and then also why the saying Duval versus y'all, like where that came from, as we are triumphantly rising in the universe and the United States as noticing our team. So we'll be back after the break.
Yay, Jags.
Go Jags!